This video brought to you by my YouTube members and patrons. Thank you guys. How's it going, everybody, and welcome back, and Happy New Year! It is officially, as of recording this, the 1st of January. For you guys, that was a week ago, so it's already been the new year, and I hope you're having a good new year. I hope the planet hasn't ended, I hope that Trump hasn't started World War III, and I hope that everything is going great. I've set myself up for failure there, haven't I? Very quickly, before we begin, I just wanted to mention that YouTube members and patrons, as always, you guys get an extra video every single week for as low as £1 a month. That equates to about 25p per video. Please do consider it, as it really does help support the channel. Genuinely, £1 a month equates to over 1,000 views. So it genuinely helps, and the more of you that do it, the easier it is for me to keep doing this. However, do not feel like you have to do that at all. I am going to keep making content regardless. So let's take a look at the subreddit, shall we? Today we're going to be returning to r/entitledparents. Sister-in-law wants to kick off my toddler to feed her baby in my high chair while mine is still eating. I keep a small floor seat with a tray at my in-laws, 1.5 hours away, to feed my kids. I bought it for my son, who's now outgrown it, and my daughter, 18 months, now uses it whenever we visit. Now my sister-in-law uses it to feed her 11-month-old when she visits her mum's every week, which is no problem when we aren't there. However, there's a second floor seat with a tray that's in the basement that my sister recently bought, but she insists on using mine. Even when I was visiting, she just takes it to feed her son. Meanwhile, I'm looking for a place to put my crying daughter who's hungry to eat and is older, so can't fit in the other smaller seat, and my sister-in-law just completely ignores the fact that she's using my seat to feed her son, let alone ask or show any care. But it gets worse. The second time I visit, I'm feeding my daughter and she's still eating, and my sister-in-law comes with her son and asks if she's done. I said no, she still has to eat rice, and my sister-in-law asks, does she need to eat rice right now? And I said, yes, she's having a meal? There's a second seat in the basement, you can just use that. And my sister-in-law just gets annoyed and entitled and says, I'll just feed him in my arms, okay? Why does she feel so entitled to use my seat, to the point where she wants to kick off my daughter mid-meal so her son can use the seat, all while there's a perfectly fine seat in the basement for her to use that fits her son? How do I approach this situation every time I visit? I love her son and I'm happy to share the seat, but her entitlement is so off-putting, where she only cares about her son's meal and not my kids. I feel petty having to remind her that it's my seat I keep here for my kids, so she should use the other available one that doesn't fit them. Or at least ask. We are both expecting more children, so it seems like someone needs to cash out some money to get another seat or two. Honestly, it is very bizarre that she even got so annoyed at you not letting her use your seat when there's another seat that she was like, I'll feed him in my arms. But in this one specifically, the comments were just the perfect level of petty that I had to read them out, okay? So the comments, people said, take it when you leave and bring it back every time you visit. She should get the message. This, keep it in your trunk until you need it for your daughter. Or take a piece of it home / to your room, like the tray. It has to come off to be cleaned, so just keep it with you in your room and bring it out to feed, returning after. Bring up hers from the basement for her to use with her kid, and when you're done visiting, put the tray in your trunk for your next visit. This, but I wouldn't touch her high chair. She can do that herself, and it's the perfect level of petty, but like, this is probably the only way to actually get that message across. It's your chair, you need it for your kid. The chair that you bought for your kid is the priority. There is another chair that she can use that doesn't fit your kid but does fit her kid. So when your chair is needed for your kid's the priority and she can use her chair. Like, it doesn't seem like a hard concept to me for her to understand, but if this is the only way you can make her understand it, then you've got to be a little petty. That's not a changing table. So at work, we have these metal shelved wheeled carts we use for bringing out new stock, shipments, or put together pickup orders on. Well, they sit in the hallway outside the bathroom, and there's no reason for customers to touch them. Well, there was a mum in the store with a double stroller holding a set of toddlers, twin boys. At one point, I was going back into our back area where our pickup orders are kept, just in time to see this mum coming out of our bathroom. Toddler in one arm, pushing one of our metal carts out of the bathroom with a dirty diaper sitting on it. It was obvious that she had purposely rolled it into the bathroom to use as a changing table. She saw me and she was like, don't worry, I'll bag it up so it doesn't stink. As if the dirty diaper was the issue. I just mumble, okay, trying to keep the what the fuck look off my face as she leaves, and immediately headed into our office to inform one of my managers so it could be sanitized or whatever. And my manager had the same reaction of what the f and disgust. Yes, I know we probably should have changing tables, but our bathrooms really aren't for the customers. They can only be accessed by us letting them back in our staff area. I'm assuming what happened is one of our cashiers let her back there before returning to the registers, and she grabs the cart when she realized we didn't have a changing area. Still didn't make it right. Just go out to your cart and change your toddler instead. No one wants to buy stuff that has had a toddler's naked butt on it. Yeah. Once again, this was also added to by a comment of someone who had a similar experience. Before, I'm gonna add my own similar experience to this. In a pub restaurant whilst we were eating our Sunday lunch, a bloke decided to bring his baby over, plop it on the floor next to our window table, and change its shitty nappy right there. From our table, we could see the sign for the baby changing room, so he didn't have much further to carry it. When he noticed us staring at him, he explained that he would only be a minute and didn't want to change the nappy near his table because it stunk. I couldn't tell if he was talking about the nappy, the atmosphere, or his table, or his attitude. Possibly all three. I can't imagine the entitlement and the fucking balls to be like, oh, I don't want to do this next to my table. It stinks. As you're creating that stink, camera, focus on me. As you're creating that stink next to other people's tables. Like, you're acknowledging that it's a problem and you wouldn't want to be near it while doing it near other people. That's a shitty thing to do, especially when there was a changing room. So my own personal story about this is I used to work in an aquarium, as some of you may know, and I did genuinely like working there, and I liked talking to people who were actually interested in the animals. This was a part of the job that I enjoyed. However, a part of the job that I didn't enjoy was shitty parenting, and unfortunately, shitty parenting was surprisingly common. And one of the days, I was in an area that we had in the aquarium where there was a rock pool in the middle of the room, and there was a see-through tank along one side of the walls that had like a wave machine in it to simulate the coast. We called it the wave tank. And between the rock pool and that wave tank, there was a long stool, like a long bench, like squishy bench that you could sit on that was comfy and you could look at the fish and what have you. Now, the amount of times, because it was multiple times that I have seen a parent, both mothers and fathers, plop down their baby and just change their baby on that bench. The amount of times that would happen, or other seating areas, right? The amount of times that I had seen that happen was infuriating, not only because it's really gross and people sit there and it creates a stink and no one wants to be around you changing your shitty nappy. Not only that, but every single bathroom in that building that was accessible to the public had a changing room in it. The men's and women's bathrooms both had changing platforms in them for babies. Multiple bathrooms, right? That were very accessible. You had to go past one of those bathrooms to get to that room, which means that person specifically went through one of the rooms with their baby, went past the bathroom with a changing room in it to change their baby on a bench that people want to sit on. It was infuriating how some parents were when I worked at that aquarium. I never blamed the kids. You could have unruly and rowdy kids. I don't blame the kids. I blame the people looking after the kids because they were always garbage at looking after their kids. Like if a child was a problem child, it was always the parent not doing anything to control them. I still remember one really specific day, unrelated to nappies, but one really specific day was we were feeding the wave tank. We were in there, and that room takes 2 people to feed. So you have a collaborative effort. There's a specific fish that was being target trained, so one person would be target training that fish while someone else would be feeding the rest of the fish and the starfish and stuff in that tank. It's a bit of a pain. You have to really reach to get those starfish. One of my colleagues was trying to feed the starfish, and they're trying to reach right to the back of the tank to give that starfish some muscles with some grabbers. And there's just a child getting in the way, running in front of them, running underneath their legs. My colleague's trying not to drip muscle juice on them or get water on them, and this kid's getting in the way, doing all this stuff. And I hear the parent say to her friend, "I'm just trying not to be controlling. I'm just trying to let him do his own thing and not be that parent that constantly tells him not to do things." You can avoid being a helicopter parent and avoid being a strict parent who's constantly controlling your child without letting your child get in the way and affect the work people are trying to do in an aquarium. There's ways of doing that. Like, there's gentle parenting and then there's not parenting. And this is what I would call not parenting. My dad accused me of showing off because I parallel parked without needing help. He was sitting in the passenger seat because we were grabbing groceries together. I parallel parked, one attempt, clean, perfect. Instead of nice job, this man goes, you didn't have to do it so fast. It looked like you were trying to impress someone. Impress who? The 7-Eleven cashier? The pigeons? I was like, I just parked. He goes, you young people always perform. Brother in Christ, I just put the car between two lines. I think that he's jealous. I think that your dad can't parallel park that well and was feeling intimidated and jealous at the fact that you can. But also, parallel parking isn't showing off. And I'm sure OP feels the same way, right? Parallel parking isn't showing off. I don't know what it's like in other countries. I've not driven in any other countries. But in the UK, if I see someone who can parallel park, I'm not like, that's an impressive skill. If someone can drive, I assume that is a skill that they have to have, because in the UK, if you can't parallel park, you shouldn't be driving. You will have to parallel park at some point. It is actually annoying to me that in the UK's driving test, you don't always guaranteed have to parallel park. There are 3 ending stages to your tests that you could be given. One of them is parallel parking, and the other 2 are not. You can still fail that part of the test and pass your driving test. But in the UK, parallel parking is not optional. You have to be able to do it, because you'll have to parallel park at some point. So the fact that it's an optional skill and you can pass without learning it, and there are people that can't do it, there are so many people that I encounter that are so bad at parking and make life difficult for everyone else, when in the UK, the majority of housing requires you to parallel park on the street. Like, it's so frustrating. It's not an impressive skill, it's a necessity. This isn't something you should be learning to impress people, it's something you should be learning because you have to do it. I don't want to interact with my father and the step family since their affair and marriage because he thinks I should just be grateful. I recently just told my dad that I no longer wanted to go to his and his wife's home anymore. I said I was fed up of having to fit in, to sacrifice and compromise. I admitted I was fed up of seeing him be dad to the other kids full time while I had to be grateful for a half-time dad. My stepmother is nice enough, but her priority is always making sure her kids are not left out in fiance's affection, time, and it being a home for them, and I am not always there, so must fit their needs and dynamics. My dad's wife has won. She and her children can have him. I have had enough. Expecting me to spectate their lovely new life all these years has been hard. I decided I don't want to know them for the time being and have removed them off of social media and blocked their numbers. I just feel emotionally exhausted and frankly, like a piece of me died when my dad left. I've never gotten over it. I feel conflicted, but God, all I do is get jealous and frustrated and feel like I'm inadequate. Does he sound entitled, or am I just overreacting? You're not overreacting, OP. I don't know if you'll ever see this, but if you do see this, your dad has failed you as a father. Like, it feels like a lot to say, but at the end of the day, if your dad isn't putting in the effort to spend time with you, if he is prioritizing his other kids over you, and also the fact that, like, he's basically saying that if you want to spend time with him, you have to be okay with the fact that he had an affair and has married the person he had an affair with, and that he's putting those kids in front of you. He's putting the kids that he had with the woman he had an affair with in front of you, and you're the person that has to put the effort in to spend time with your father because he's prioritizing his affair children. That's a shit father. A good father, it would be difficult for them, but they would find the time to spend time with their kids on both sides, right? A good father would want to spend equal time with all of their family. They wouldn't be like, sorry, I have to prioritize these kids because my wife said so. Like, he's failed you as a father. He's basically traded you in for some new kids. That's not a good dad. So you're not overreacting, and cutting him out because you feel like shit when you're around him is a totally valid reaction. And he'll either realize that and try and make a difference, or he won't. And at the end of the day, that's not on you. That's not your responsibility to make him realize and make him change. You're just looking out for yourself, which is absolutely the most important thing for you to do. But that is where I'm going to end the video. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed. If you would like to support me in making more content like this, then I have a Patreon in the description down below, or equally you can click on that join button on the channel to support me. It helps a lot more than you might realize, but by no means should you feel like you have to. I'm going to keep making content regardless. But a huge, massive special thank you to all of the wonderful YouTube members and patrons patrons that do support me. All of your names are up on screen right now. It genuinely helps so much, and it genuinely means so much. So thank you to everybody that does. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Peace out.